But first, I just want to ask you about Brian Hooker. So this is a disturbing report, allegations, but I'm wondering from an evidentiary point of view, are investigators looking at this? Is this even relevant? I mean, if this goes to trial, if he gets arrested, if he gets charged, is this even relevant or is this prejudicial? I don't know if it's going to have any role.
Well, it is 27 years ago, and I used to have my late father used to say, if the prior bad act or the prior thing you're trying to is old enough to vote, then it shouldn't come in. So this thing 27 years ago, I'm not so sure it comes in, but even if it does, I think a defense lawyer would probably argue, look, what does that mean? Of course, he's in a fight with somebody and somebody's going to say something 27 years ago. That isn't probative to what happened now.
If he takes the stand in a case, and there's so many ifs, and he, says something about his credibility or character, they could probably impeach him with it too. Okay, I got to ask you about Luigi Mangione. This is the one that I think is so interesting. I'm not surprised they pushed the federal trial to January, but Mark, let's play this out. He goes to trial on the state charges in New York. Let's say he's found guilty or not guilty, what have you. That's pretty close in time to a federal trial. Isn't that going to affect it?
Well, it's such an interesting interplay to have this state and federal basically kind of hopscotching over one another. So the defense, I think, wanted the federal to go first because there is a statute where you could say once in jeopardy in the state court if you were found either guilty or not guilty in the federal court. It doesn't work in reverse. So the best hope really for the defense is they get a hung jury in the state court, it then goes to federal court, and there isn't anything and he doesn't take the stand, and there's nothing for the feds to use against him. You'll remember you and I talked about the extreme emotional disturbance, which was
abandoned, abandoned by the defense, yes.
Right, abandoned. Yeah, and one of the problems with that is precisely because of the lurking federal prosecution. If he were to continue along the lines of an extreme emotional disturbance, that would basically say, I'm admitting to this. Well, you don't have that defense in federal court. If he uses it first in state court, then you've fried yourself in federal court, and that's a real problem.
So these are different cases, right? The state case is a murder case. The federal case are stalking cases. There's a similarity in events, there's similarity in witnesses, of course, similarity in evidence, but slightly different. How do you imagine the federal case will be defended? One of the interesting aspects of it is you have to prove that Luigi Mangione place Brian Thompson in reasonable fear for his life, essentially. I don't think they're going to have difficulty necessarily proving traveled across, interstate lines or anything like that for the purposes of maybe targeting Thompson. I mean, he's innocent unless proven guilty. But I do wonder how we can imagine that federal stalking case to proceed, if there's going to be any challenges for the prosecution.
Well, I think there are. I mean, if you take a look at what the state's going to argue, the state's going to argue that this was cold-blooded assassination, something along those lines. Shot him in the back, he never had a chance. That very argument is the opposite of what the feds need to prove for their case in terms of the elements. So there is an inherent tension here, but they all arise out of the same acts, as you point out. And so I really think it's fundamentally unfair to have somebody kind of have to toggle between both a federal and a state prosecution. It isn't double jeopardy as ruled currently by the U.S. Supreme Court, but there is a state statute that would bar the federal prosecution and a resolution, and then a prosecution in the state court.
Look, the whole thing is jury selection. That's the whole thing, stealth jurors. I mentioned at the top, it seems the judge is putting certain mechanisms in place to prevent anything like this happening. We're going to have 6 alternates. I'm not releasing the jury questionnaire unless we actually have a jury. Again, I go back to the idea of trying to find a jury in either the state or federal case will be difficult, particularly a federal case after the state trial. Do you think these safeguards are going to be enough to prevent, when I say stealth jurors, somebody who wants to go on that jury and acquit him no matter what?
So Usually, this is a problem for the defense. Usually, if you're defending somebody who's infamous, you worry desperately, and I've been there, I can't tell you how many times, where a juror basically has an agenda, wants to get onto the trial, and wants to fry the client. That is, I've encountered that. I can't tell you how many times. I've told you the story. The problem here is it's the reverse. It's the prosecutor's worst nightmare, because the prosecutor is worried. It's not often, but occasionally you'll see where basically the conscience of the community is not wholly behind the prosecution. People still don't understand in this case that this is somewhat unique, that in New York there is a constituency for Luigi Mangione. That gives this prosecution fits, whether they want to admit it or not. And yes, a stealth juror is a possibility, whether they want to accept it or not. This judge is spectacular. I've been in front of her. I'm currently in front of her on another case, and she's extremely conscious of everything that's happening, and she's trying to do everything in her, basically in her, using all the tools in her toolbox.
Mark is like, I'm only saying nice things here. I'm only going to say nice things about the judge. I completely understand. Okay, Mark, I really wanted to have you on because there was something else that happened in the Supreme Court today that it's just not getting the attention as the other rulings. I understand why, but we cover criminal cases all the time. So in one of these big rulings from the Supreme Court today, one of them, the justices ruled that the constitutional privacy protections, we're talking the Fourth Amendment, applies to geofencing. For anybody who follows true crime, you know how important this is. This is when you use cell phone location data to zero in on people in the area of a crime. So the court said this constitutes a full-blown search under the Fourth Amendment, like if you were to go to somebody's house. And to me, I wonder, this must be a big impediment to law enforcement investigations. What impetus does this put on law enforcement now? Do they have to prove that this is reasonable? I mean, talk to me about the repercussions of this.
It's unbelievable how prevalent this is now as a law enforcement technique. I just did a murder prelim, probable cause proceeding in a rather high-profile murder case last week. The amount of geofencing and other kinds of cell phone tower and cell phone data collection that was used was off the charts, if you want to know the truth, to the point where they used that almost as their North Star on the entire investigation. This case today, I think, makes perfect sense. I mean, building on the segment that you did before I came on, it was somewhat predictable given the 333 analysis of the U.S. Supreme Court, given what they have said before about privacy, about what they've said in terms of kind of the DUI stops, in terms of other kinds of warrantless searches. So this is not a surprise, but clearly law enforcement is going to have to course correct, because what they've been doing now, business as usual, is no longer.
Well, look, you know, defense attorneys are going to jump on this. It adds another layer for law enforcement. Again, I think it was a massive decision that doesn't get enough attention today, but I'm glad I got to talk about it with you, Mark. Mark Geragos, thank you so much, my friend. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jesse.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.